My name is Melanie Martin. This is an audio interview for my documentary animation based around anxiety. My interviewee is Megan Tyler. So I'm going to ask you some questions now.
Okay.
About 8 questions. There's a couple leading off questions. If there's anything that you don't want to talk about or that makes you feel uncomfortable, or if there's anything that you might sort of not want to answer or, just move from, let me know.
Okay, will do, thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the first question.
Yep.
What's your outside opinion on anxiety? What do you think of it, professionally speaking?
I think it's something that everybody's got a little bit of. It just comes through in different ways. I think that it can be quite difficult to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. But sometimes it's also got quite good points. When in a way where it lets you know when you are in the wrong situation.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on what extreme you have it, because if you have it in quite an extreme way, it kind of gets in the way of your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So that could be quite difficult.
So, professionally speaking, you think it's just, obviously it's something everyone has. I like that.
Yes.
And I think that's quite true. Okay, let's go on to the A section. So how does it make you feel when you know someone or you see someone who has it, who has an anxiety, when you can see them?
I think it's quite hard to know how to deal with it when someone else has it, because you know what your own coping mechanisms are. But when it comes to somebody else having it, you don't want to sort of push them too far, and you don't know how they cope or if they can cope.
Mm.
And also, you don't want to bring it up because to some people it's quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it makes me even more anxious. So it can kind of make you feel quite anxious on how to deal with that.
With someone else having it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think anxiety in itself, to see someone else dealing with it, it kind of reminds you of yourself if you have it, doesn't
Yeah,
it? And
yeah.
then everyone is different. You don't want to go
Mm.
over there and be like, do this, and
Yeah,
you know,
because we all have different coping mechanisms,
you don't want to tell
and we don't know
someone.
what theirs are. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This is B still on question 1. Do you relate to this? And what do you think about when you see it happening to someone else? So when you see it happening to someone else, what do you think about when you're sat there or standing there or?
Um, I tend to think about how I was before I learned how to cope with it. So I used to be anxious about passing out, and obviously one of the common side effects of anxiety is like lightheadedness, hyperventilating, that kind of thing.
Yeah, all
So
symptoms.
yeah, and it kind of makes me think of that. And especially, see, the thing is, when someone's having an anxiety attack, people tend to crowd around them, and for me, that would have just been terrible. So
Yeah,
I kind of think of how I would feel in that, how I did feel in that situation, um, and just try and go from there, really.
yeah, that's good. I mean, you don't want to suffocate someone, or you know how they're
Yeah,
feeling, and if you see it, it's quite hard as
yeah,
well
it
to
is,
see
it
someone
is.
struggling, maybe as you would be
Um,
struggling.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, let's move on. Next one. So this is question 2. Um, when do you think your anxiety started?
Um, I mean, I had it as a child quite mildly, um, and as I got older, I was in quite an abusive relationship, and that is when it sort of escalated for me.
Mm.
You know, yeah, I'd say probably my sort of 17 to 19 were my worst years regarding anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, thinking about what the outside world felt of you
Yeah.
and your situation instead of actually dealing with it.
But you think you had it from a young age?
Yes, yeah, I do. I do think I had it from a young age, but just quite very mild. You know, it was just anxious about me. You know, like general things, meeting new people and things like that. But I think everybody has that. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Moving to new schools
Yeah.
and you know that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to 2A then. So, when did you realise that you had anxiety? So not when you think it started, but when did you realise? When did you sort of think maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this is a bit different. Maybe I've got an anxiety as such.
I realised it when well, I got to a point when I was probably about 17 and I'd moved out, and I just couldn't stay at the flat. There's a lot going on. I just couldn't stay there, and I just felt like I couldn't even leave the room. I was too scared, and I had, you know, I'd got to a point where I couldn't do anything. You know, I couldn't go into a supermarket without feeling I was going to pass out, and you know, I couldn't eat certain things or drink certain things. I think that was the big turning point for me, where I knew it was taking over my life.
Yeah.
And I couldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to B. That's a good point to go on to B. What do you think your anxiety is then, for instance? Like, obviously there's quite a few different types. You got like OCD, you got panic anxiety, all that kind of stuff. You know, you got phobias. So there's quite a few types. What do you think your one is? Or
I know I have OCD, but my anxiety mainly, I was panicking about my health.
Okay.
And even though there was nothing wrong with my health, I was panicking that there was going to be. It was that what if, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just getting panic attacks every night. Even just laying in bed, I was getting a panic attack. And I'd say mine is sort of health related, even though there was nothing wrong.
So that's quite a few there. That's panic disorder, that's illness, anxiety disorder, and then that's phobia, I think, excessive fear of objects, situations, or activities.
Yeah, it's that sort of what if, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So having a few anxieties, I don't think if someone does have anxiety, it seems like people don't really tend to have just one.
No.
They seem to have a few, and maybe certain things trigger that.
I think anxiety is being obviously anxious about a wide range of things, isn't it? You know, maybe it might start as one thing, but it sort of spreads almost and takes over other parts of your life. So I definitely agree with you there that it's not just
one
thing.
No.
You know.
Okay. All right, let's go on to question 3. So this is just one question. When, where, or what gives you the most anxiety? Where do you think you get anxiety the most?
I would say I get anxiety the most at like hospital appointments, doctors, mainly hospital. I mean, sometimes when I go out, as you know, I like to be on the phone to you.
Yeah.
Because we do to each other, don't we?
We do,
I mean, we, you know, because we don't like walking alone, and that's not because we're afraid of being attacked or anything. I think we've got to a point where we're each other's sort of comfort blanket.
We want to seem busy as well.
Yeah.
And then if we've got each other to talk to, it's I'd say it helps us deal with being around strangers, random people, really.
Because we know how to sort of calm the other one down. I think that's important. When you have anxiety, it's just having someone there that understands and isn't going to just say, get over it.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving on to question 4. How does anxiety affect your typical day-to-day life? So not work, not anything like that. Let's say
just at home.
Shopping, sitting at home. I don't know, not being with family or anything, but just you being on your own. How does it affect you doing?
I think it can make you overthink things. Like so to me, I think this is where OCD comes into it a little bit. I almost go, but if you do this, this will happen. You know, but if you do that, that'll happen. And so it's just the little things like brushing your teeth or washing your hair. If you wash your hair, you know, you're going to get shampoo in your eye and then you go blind, or, you know, you think of the worst possible things. And also, like, you sit there, and especially when you're on your own, you almost have more time to think about things. And you think about arguments that have happened weeks, months, years ago, and it kind of, you know, you affect your own mood. Although you can't help it, you affect your own mood.
Yeah.
So I think it does affect you, maybe even more so sometimes when you're on your own.
Yeah. I think I agree there. Being on your own, it does allow you to think about a lot. You know, you're not distracted by anyone, you're not conversating with anyone, and they're not bringing up conversation things for you to talk about anyway, so you're sat there sort of thinking about yourself, thinking about anxiety-ridden stuff, maybe.
It's very easy to think about one thing and then for that to lead on to 100 other things that you totally forgotten about.
Yeah. Okay, let's try, so this one. How does it affect your time with your family and friends now?
I think now I've controlled it a bit more, not as much, but there was a time when I wouldn't go and visit family or I'd pull myself away when I was feeling down, and that affects relationships because people that necessarily haven't got the same level as anxiety as you take it sometimes quite offensively, and they think that you're just cancelling or you don't want to spend time with them, when actually that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
And I think when you're anxious, a lot of the time your home is your blanket, you know, it's where you feel most safe.
It's your comfort zone.
To go out of your comfort zone and visit people is quite difficult sometimes, you know, so it can affect that massively if they don't understand. And also, it's not the fact that they don't want to understand, sometimes you just don't want to tell them.
Yeah.
Because
so
you don't know how they'll react.
They don't necessarily know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on inside your head.
No, exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, no, definitely. I think sometimes friends might take it a bit to heart when really it's not the case.
No.
And family as well, they might take it a bit to heart because they see you as your family. You're not supposed to be like that with your family. You know?
No, and sometimes people think, well, you know, can't you just come and visit me? It's only me. But it's like, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be your mum, it could be your best friend, it could be your siblings, your dad, your grandparents. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
It's how you feel inside. It's not about who you're going to visit, you know?
Might be the particular day as well. You might be fine the day before, but the next day you might feel like crap.
Yeah. Sometimes it's about going 10 steps forward and then 8 steps back, you know? It's not. Every day isn't the same.
No. Okay. Alright, and then this is the last one for question 4, part B. How does it affect your work and your hobbies?
I mean, with work, it's a tricky one because they're not there to have somebody that's going to take a lot of time off, or a lot of jobs aren't bothered whether you're in a bad mood or, you know, that they're paying you to be there, you know?
Yeah.
So that can be quite difficult. Hobbies wise, I mean, I think you get so emotionally tired that you're too tired to do any of your hobbies.
Yeah.
And although you know they're going to cheer you up, you're just so mentally drained that you just feel you haven't got time for them.
Yeah. I think sometimes as well, you might tend to doubt yourself, doubt your worth, doubt how good
Yeah,
you are
definitely.
in your work, in your hobbies,
Yeah,
whether you're actually having fun.
yeah. And it comes back to feeling like sometimes you can feel everybody's talking about you.
Yeah. And you don't want to be in that environment, and that'll make you take time off, and then sometimes it's like work doesn't really care.
Yeah, because you feel like, well, why are they going to care? They're not there to care about me. They're there for me to
Work.
work. They're paying me to do a job.
Exactly. All right. I think that, like, in my opinion about anxiety, I think certain workplaces don't really care about anxiety, when
Yeah.
really it's not our fault.
No, because
It's just the
it's an
way we
invisible
feel.
illness in a way, and
Yeah.
people don't often accept that.
Well, I'm planning for the title of the animation to be "Suffering in Silence."
Yeah,
So,
and people are also people are quite afraid about talking about it
oh yeah,
because a lot of
definitely.
people just say, "Oh, cheer up," and it's not. Often when someone tells you to just cheer up, you feel like they're belittling you and belittling your feelings.
Mm. It's like that with depression as well, because anxiety can cause depression, and it's like when people say cheer up, it's not gonna help.
No, no, it's not. It doesn't help at all.
All right. Let's go on to the next one. You're gonna like this question. So, you share parental responsibility over your niece.
Yes.
How does your anxiety affect this?
Um, it affects it because my brother's passed away, I can't get his opinion on how he thinks I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you know more than anyone that I doubt myself a lot with how I am bringing her up,
Yeah.
and I doubt that I'm not doing what's right for her. Although I know I am, and I know that she's got everything she needs and everything she wants.
And you do your
It's
best.
and it's that sort of feeling of you feel that your best isn't enough, and you can't be. I can't be her dad, but all I can do is my best, and sometimes that can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
But I think it's just taking a step back and realizing that she doesn't need you to be the best person in the world.
And
She just needs you.
she doesn't need you to be her dad.
No, and
She's
I
got her
think what
dad.
helps me is she idolizes me a lot, and she is. I stay strong for her, so she is definitely the reason why I am here today.
Yeah.
It's because I have her to stay strong for. So yeah.
Yeah. It's nice for you. It sort of helps things.
It does. She helps me more than I help her, I think, in a lot of ways.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So how does this make you feel, though? So when you're worrying about things, about whether you're doing the best for her, obviously you're worrying, but I mean, does it get you upset? Does it get you depressed? Does it get you feeling
it
like
does.
you're not,
Yeah.
you're not wanting to fail, but you feel like maybe you are, or
Yeah. I mean, out of everything in the world, that is the one thing I don't want to fail at, and that is quite a lot of pressure. Not pressure, but it's quite it's a very important role.
yeah,
And it's a role that was sprung on me so quickly that I had no option but to be okay with it. So
yeah,
sometimes it does. Although I don't get upset in front of her, when I'm on my own, I do sort of, as you know, I've called you up many a times.
yeah,
It does upset me, yes, it does sometimes. But the good outweighs the bad, and I think sometimes it's good to step back and think about the good
yeah.
rather
Oh yeah,
than thinking about the bad, and live in the moment, because we don't live in the moment. We live in what if, or what if
yeah.
this happens, or that kind of thing.
I think someone with anxiety definitely lives more in the past than in the moment as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. Okay. Um, So the next question is, I think we might have pretty much answered this one, but it's, how did you overcome feeling like that? And it's obviously because the good outweighs the bad, and obviously...
Yeah, the good outweighs the bad, and I think because I have this small person that relies on me to be the best person I can be, I had to.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's that.
Yeah, you adjusted, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
You adjusted your anxiety because of the importance of the situation.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good in a way. And I think this leads on to the next question, which is, does sharing responsibility help your anxiety in any way?
Yes, it does. Particularly after my brother died, I got to a point where I didn't want to be here anymore. And having Lily May to look after, it kept me on my toes,
Yeah.
It kept me. All of a sudden, I wasn't the most important person to me anymore. She was.
Yeah.
So when you care for someone whose well-being means more to you than your own, you have to put your feelings to the back of your mind, because they're not as important as hers anymore.
Which would be your anxiety. You got to push it to the side.
Yeah.
And I expect that can be quite hard, though.
It can, but it wasn't a choice.
Yeah. It had to be done.
Yeah. And I read this thing that said you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only option that you have. And that, that rang true to me.
Yeah. No, that sounds nice. Lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So question 6. So how do you cope with your anxiety? How do you handle it? Do you have any sort of things that you might do? I don't know, like little coping mechanisms or...
Yes. So when I feel like I'm having an anxiety attack, and I have them at work still, you start feeling lightheaded and all that, I think this has happened before, and I got over it then, and I'm going to get over it now.
Yeah.
It's definitely your mindset, because in a panic attack, we have this fight or flight. And say when we were in the caves a long time ago, say, for instance, a tiger was chasing us, our panic mode would be fight, stay and fight the tiger, or flight, run away. And that is adrenaline. So an anxiety attack is all this adrenaline because your body's going into panic mode, thinking something bad's happening, and the anxiety effect of it is not knowing where all this adrenaline is going.
Yeah.
That's why your heart starts beating more, your breathing becomes different. It's because you don't, your body doesn't know the difference between there's actually something happening and I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So my coping mechanism is to kind of think, right, I've got to calm my mind down, and then my mind will calm my body down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is mentally calming yourself down. Thoughts of this has happened before. I'm fine. Nothing bad's going on. I just need to calm down.
Yeah, and take a breather.
And I think that's my coping mechanism. But everyone's different.
There's quite a few, isn't there? I think some people. I think I've seen a couple myself who count things in a room, count colours, or count objects, or count to 10.
Yeah.
Or maybe sort of take a walk for a minute, breathe some fresh air or something.
Yeah.
I think they're all quite good.
Mindfulness, where you just think, right, you feel your toes.
Oh,
You're sort of grounding yourself.
Yeah.
You feel your toes, and you feel your legs, you feel your knees, you feel your hips, your stomach, your chest, hands, arms, and you're just grounding yourself back into the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then, so we probably answered this one as well. Do you have any counter-anxiety plans that help when dealing with it? So I suppose that would be the coping mechanisms. That would be the counting and sort of.
Yeah,
It does.
that kind
I think it really helps people. I think all these little tips and sort of mechanisms to help you sort of get through it, and because I mean a lot of people probably go on the internet and look up how to cope with anxiety and what kind of is the best things to.
Yeah, I think looking on the internet's all well and good, but hearing it from someone that's actually coped with it, even if it's just your friend, your mum, talking to someone is always the right answer.
Yeah.
Whether their reaction is bad or good, I think if their reaction is bad, that says more about them than what it does about you.
Oh yeah.
And that shows how naive they are, really.
You need support.
And I think if you've had the guts to talk to someone, even if they've got a bad response, that then gives you the guts to talk to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And they say a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah. It's because you're almost putting, I don't want to say putting the weight onto somebody else, but it's not putting it onto somebody else. It's getting them to help you carry that weight.
Yeah. It's not so much putting it on someone else, it's just getting it out of your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying things aloud can be quite daunting because it makes them real.
But then it can also lift a weight off of you.
From your shoulders, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, right, let's go on to question 7. So, how do you think you cope with your anxiety now? Do you think it's the same back to when you were a child? Do you think you coped with it differently as a child? Do you think you cope with it better now, or?
I think as a child, I didn't really know what it was. I think now there's a lot more. I wouldn't say it's a more popular thing, but it's more accepted now, and it's more spoken about. Now, you change as an adult anyway.
You grow.
And as a teenager, it kind of spiked. Now I've got over that, and probably got over it isn't the right word. Now I've learnt to accept it.
Learnt to control it a bit.
Control it, yeah. It is different. It's not as bad. I was having panic attacks every single night, just laying in bed. And now, when your mindset changes, and you learn to cope and you speak about it, I can't stress enough how talking about it is so important.
Yeah.
It changes, it does, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay. Let's go on to 7A. Do you think you've overcome any aspects of your anxiety? So obviously we spoke about earlier how you've got more than one anxiety. Do you think that you've overcome one completely? Do you think that you struggle with others more than one you might have before?
I wouldn't say I struggle more. I think I've got better with all of them. Because my illness anxiety, it turned out I did later on have something wrong with my eye, and now that's better. It's helped me to cope with it more because I've kind of got it all out of my system, and they actually found something that's now been treated.
Yeah.
So that's better. My phobia about passing out, I couldn't even go into a supermarket, and now I walk down the town. So I would say I've completely got over my phobia about passing out. The illness one, not completely, but it's so much better. And OCD is something I still have, but I cope with it more now. So I'd say I have.
You got over.
I am coping with it better.
Got over. You've been able to overcome.
Yeah.
One anxiety, and you get better with others, and I think things take time, and the fact that you have got you have overcome one is a big step anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Okay.
even a million steps start with one step.
Yeah.
So just doing the first step and getting help or talking to someone is the first step to the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, moving forward and taking one step is a step in the right direction. It's where you want to
Yeah, of
go.
course.
You
Yeah.
may have 99,000 other steps to go, but you're one down.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to the last question. It is a two-parter still. Do you think your anxiety will affect your future?
No.
No. You don't
No.
think...
I mean, probably certain aspects of it, yes, but it's not something that's going to beat me.
Yeah.
You know, I am in control of it now,
Yeah.
and I think it's getting to the point where, you know, you don't let your mind control you.
Yeah.
You control your mind. So no, I wouldn't say that it's going to control my future. No, no.
No. You don't want it to. You
No, and I'm
refuse
not
to
gonna
let it to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Last bit then. Do you think you will overcome all your anxieties completely in the future?
I like to think so, but I don't think, if I'm being honest, I don't think anybody will ever completely overcome their anxiety.
Mm.
Because our anxiety is there for a reason.
Yeah. It's
It's
been
the
made
fight
for
or
a
flight
reason.
that we've had
Yeah.
for millions and millions of years. I think it's the level of it where you obsess over it and you let it control you.
Yeah.
Yes, I will overcome that, but we're always going to have anxiety there. Everyone.
Yeah. It's not as simple as just saying I'm not gonna suffer with it anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not. No.
No.
It's almost having the mindset of the glass isn't half empty, the glass is half full.
Yeah.
You know? And anxiety is something that anxiety is an emotion.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there. It's just controlling it.
Yeah, and learning to overcome it bit by bit, again, step by step.
Yeah, definitely.
And like you say, there is a reason that we have the anxiety in the first place. So something has obviously clicked in us that's made us fearful. It's always made. It's never just suddenly appeared. You know, you don't suddenly just suffer with it. It's something that builds up and that gets worse, and that, you know.
Yeah.
You struggle with something in life, say for instance, I don't know, being bullied in school. That might make you get social anxiety because you don't want to be judged by others anymore.
Yeah. It's life experience. It's almost a switch.
Yeah.
It's a life experience, and your switch gets turned on, and then your body, and then because you keep thinking back to that point, even if you can't remember that point, your mind knows that point subconsciously.
Yeah.
That point where you were afraid and scared or worried, and because of that, your body then goes into that fight or flight, and you're back there you may not remember it. It may have been when you were a child or, you know, whatever, but your body remembers it.
Yeah.
You know, it's still in your subconscious, so your body's going to remember it, and it's going to feel like that. It's going to feel that way, and it's just overcoming that, and it's not as easy as it sounds by any means.
No, I think people tend to think it's quite easy if they don't have anxiety or, you know, or the same
and that
anxiety.
comes back to people being naive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like depression. A lot of people think if they can't see an illness, then it's not there, but that's not the case. Just because you haven't broken a bone.
It's an invisible illness, you know?
Yeah, it is. You know.
Just because you're not suffering with something like internally or you know, that's an actual, I don't know, like that physically affects your body, like, you know, like cancer or something. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's mentally, it affects your thought process. It affects, you know, absolutely everything mentally.
I mean, my mum says this thing. I think she might have said it to you before, Mel. If you have a broken bone, people will be coming up to you, and
Yeah.
you'll be in pain, and they'll know you'll be in pain, and they'll believe you. If because it's a mental health disorder, people won't believe you because they can't see it,
Yeah.
or because they haven't felt it, and sometimes people. It's not always people being naive. It's just sometimes people, because they can't relate to it,
Yeah.
or because it hasn't happened to them, they haven't got any time for it.
No.
You know?
No, and because they can't see it either, they can't understand it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's, society shouldn't be like that, but it is. You know, there's not
No.
much we can do but be there for the people that do understand. Be there for the
Yeah.
people that need someone to talk to, and that's all we can do.
Yeah, and try and make it more known, make people more aware.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
as well. Hopefully, that's what this animation will do. All right. Well, we're 36 minutes, so
Yeah.
we'll probably call it.
Okay.
Thank you, Megan, for
You're more than welcome.
taking part in this interview. So 36 minutes and we're done. Yeah.